Well, I'm sure I have a DXF file somewhere. Make sure you got ready. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's a little bit after 5, and we certainly don't want to keep you any later than we have to. It's been a long day for everybody. And thank you for coming. I know that doing stuff after school is not fun, but this was the only way that we could get this taken care of and done. I'm going to send this around, so if you would take one and pass it around. Let me kind of explain how all this happened. What we have done is we have applied for an innovation grant. This is outside of our Perkins money. It is a Perkins innovation grant. So I want to make sure that you hear that. It is a Perkins grant, meaning we cannot be making money off of this machine and then using it for sending your kids to FFA events or competitions. Everything that you make off of this has to go back into your program. I even followed up on that because I thought maybe it was ESSER funds. And so I asked Ross White, was ESSER funds used? And he said, oh no, this is Perkins money. So it's the same rules that you have for your CNC, same rules for the shop bot. You can't make money and then put it, anything towards the kids. It has to go back in your program. Now, I've always told you about this on CNC. That means you get to buy more metal. You're going to get to buy more materials. You're going to have a lot of things coming in, okay, that you're going to need. And so I want to make sure of that. What I passed out to you is very important. I have supplied Glowforge with your email addresses, but they cannot give you the education subscription until you create an account. So this is the step-by-step of how you create an account. So you want to do that tomorrow as soon as you get back to school, is create you an account, and then at that point they're going to assign you that education subscription. And it's a premium, and so it gives you a lot of files, and I might be talking over here. It gives you activities and ideas. Huh? Are they getting that for a year? Yes, they're getting that for 1 year. Okay. Again, it was in the bundle, and you didn't get the bundle. And let me explain that to you too. Last year we bought 5 of these, and last year it was a non-traditional grant, and it was to get more females in your programs. So 5 schools got that last year. Casey was one of those because she attended a special training we had in the summer for women in ag. Bruce, don't start me.
He done started.
Bruce, me and Bruce go back a million years. But Bruce called me and said, I'm suing you for having women in ag.
He probably did say that.
He did say that. He said, I'm turning you into the feds.
I'm not gonna, I just wonder how you rectify that.
Okay, so,
In the gender or comp?
so the 5 female teachers who attended women in ag, they received this as that non-traditional. But they only got the Glowforge and the air filter. You're going to get a whole lot more. You're going to get today, you're going to get your Glowforge, and it's the Pro. And that means it can handle bigger equipment like materials. You're going to get the air filter where you don't have to send this out the window, which a lot of teachers do. They just vent it out the window, but you're going to get this. You're going to get 2 air cartridges for replacement. And then you're going to get a box of materials where you can start tomorrow. And that's acrylic, that's wood. I think there's some plywood, wood, board, and all kinds of different kinds of little thin wood, and Casey's going to talk about that. But you're going to really be able to go start tomorrow if you want to. And by the way that I've been told, this is very easy. This is not the CNC machine. Okay, it is not the shop box. Okay, this is very simple. And literally, I've left it at a school, and before I got back to co-op, they were sending me pictures of stuff they made. That's how easy this will be. Okay, and I see a lot of usage, but again, I think it's for creative, and I think that's where you're really going to get a lot of maybe females to say, hey, this is what I love to do, is design. I like to make things. And for Abby, who unfortunately is teaching right now in just a classroom, this is going to be a great project for your kids in that classroom. Okay. Casey Beavers teaches at Pottsville. All y'all know her, and she's really good at this. And so she's going to show you we're going to start from the start. How you set it up, how you operate it. If you have questions, stop and ask. If you got material questions, how does it work with that type of material? Ask her. She's pretty experienced with that. When we get finished, and won't probably take an hour 15 minutes, we will then go to the warehouse, and you will be picking up all of your equipment. And so we got a really big box, and let's talk about that box. You have to keep this box, okay? If something is wrong, and Casey's came in, it did not function, it did not work, so we had to send hers back. They will not guarantee the warranty unless it's in that box. So you're gonna have to keep that box for the life of the stove forge, if you ever have to send it in, okay? I would go ahead and keep the box that the filter's in, the air filter, okay? Just in case you have to send it back, okay? All right, so hopefully you came in a truck or an SUV, and Abby, we got you covered. We'll bring that Monday.
I'm bringing it Monday.
Yep. She's gotta come over,
I'm with her.
Okay. She's coming anyway, so she'll just bring it in her SUV. And we got 2 people who are watching this on a recording, and we'll get those 2 delivered to those schools too. I'm gonna turn it over to Casey.
If y'all wanna come this way so y'all can see how it comes, I kinda unboxed it a little bit. She's not kidding about the box. Like, it's a little ridiculous, and I know none of us have room to put a ginormous box, but I literally had mine probably, I don't know, a week, and I had cut some things on it, like I did, like I did the little first thing it tells you, I cut this dumb little thing out, it's like a little first thing. And I cut that second little thing out, and I cut this out, like, I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then it was burning everywhere, it was not blowing through things, like, it was just all across the board, and nothing had changed, like, we had done nothing different to it, but the laser literally was done. So, like, I had to send it back, I probably had it a month, maybe, total, by the time that they diagnosed it, and, we got it all fixed out. I had to send it back exactly with all this crap. So, when I say this box, like, be a hoarder. We do that. There are some things that come in it. There's tutorials on how to unbox it, like follow the directions, because you don't want to screw it up, but really, because there's a couple sensitive things in there. These were in there, I didn't put it back in here to drop, this way, but, this comes with a thing on top of this. I've taken mine off because it's pretty pass-through materials. So if you cut something long like that piece of wood, you can pass through, but it comes all kinds of crazy packaged. So you actually have to move, like, you do a section of it and then you move it, and you have to do that, so it does not feed anything like that. I did the piece here because I don't know that I wouldn't now that I've done it. I mean, mine was fine at first. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. It looked fine. It worked fine. It did those 3 things, like, perfect. But it's pretty crazy. This thing moves. You can move it, like they show them moving it whenever they do all the stuff. This is the piece that you don't want to screw up. So this is the piece that you need to handle every time it gets handled properly, unless you have a kid that you just really trust to not drop it, not mess with it, not do anything with it, because this is the actual, like, laser head. And it comes with a little packing peanut inside here. Like, don't throw that away, because I know it sounds dumb, but it's dumb. There's pieces here that line things up. There's a mirror on the side. There's a mirror inside here. Yeah, there's a mirror inside there. So how this whole laser works, like, it's got to bounce off all this stuff. Mine was not. This top piece comes off, and there is another piece in here. There's a mirror inside here. So this is the piece you do not.
Can you not just leave it there?
You will normally leave it in there. I did it for hauling it down the interstate because I just didn't want to screw one up. And I wanted to show y'all kind of how this looks. But there's tutorials about how you do this. The lens in here, there is a lens in there, and there is a tool that comes with this. And I've broken 2 of them for no reason. But it's got a little magnet on it. I'm not going to take it out, but you shove it up in there and the magnet pulls this lens out. Be super careful. Because I've broken 2 of these, not doing anything with them.
So why do you need to take it out?
Because you need to clean it. So if you can see how this is so disgusting, and I kind of sort of tried to clean it before I boxed it up. Like, the more you cut with it,
the more just material just builds up, just like anything that you use when you cut stuff like this, and multiple materials causes that to happen. So sometimes you do have to clean these. And they send you with some wipes that you use to clean the stuff with. Like they're very specific about how to clean these things, and you have to clean them because as you do stuff, this right here is your best friend. It's your camera. That will get stuff built up over it fast. So, and I mean, all this stuff is on their website. All this stuff is there that you can like look up. There's all kinds of. They're super user friendly. Like this is like for dummies kind of like just to keep it all together. But that camera you have to clean pretty often, and sometimes these mirrors. I never take this apart, but I clean the mirror that's over there. I clean these pieces down here, and I clean.
How long is that for the partnership?
I mean, I don't know when I got mine. I haven't changed it, and I took it out today when we were pulling it up, and it doesn't look terrible, but I really don't know. This just plugs in here on the side. There's just a little plug in.
You'll have it about a year in February.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably true. Well, this one I probably had since spring break.
Yeah.
And then this magnetically snaps right there. That's all it does. This, unlike your plasma cutter, like you can't just push it back and it not give on you a little bit. This you can push all the way back. That can be pushed all the way over. So you can cut things just like that with that not in there. But I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Like that's for if you're cutting thick stuff, like a cutting board or a bigger piece of wood. Like there's ways that you can cut. This is what comes with it. It'll be in a separate box when you guys get yours. But there are little stubby things on here. 4 of them. It has to fit down in these grooves. So if you ever pull it out and you get like pieces of wood or something stuck in there and this doesn't sit right, like it really needs to sit right because it doesn't have that Z axis. It's just XY. So it doesn't go up and down. So it has to recognize your material. So, you know, like on plastic cutters, like how it really will recognize, you got some recognition, but it does not have that.
So does that mean you can only cut one thickness of material with that plate?
No, you have a little bit of wiggle room with this, but this will, and so and I'll say this later on too, but like the glow forge materials, like the fruit grade stuff that you'll get, have these QR codes on them. They're more expensive than if you're going to go buy stuff at Lowe's or wherever, but it's so much worth it, depending on what you're using. Like, I know it's kind of crazy to buy stuff from the company, but it does actually. I'll talk about that. This
Is that
you
the
can
fruit
see.
grade stuff?
Huh?
Is that
That's fruit grade. So this is, I mean, that's as much room as you got, and you don't have much room there. Because it's gotta be able for that laser to do what it does. So there's not a lot in here. Now, if you take this out, you've got a whole lot more. You put a lot bigger stuff in there. So I did some cutting boards at the end of school last year that they weren't super thick, but they were too thick to put on here. So I used these like little pieces of cedar and just like stuck them in there. And this little tool is something that you're gonna want to download real quick because y'all get the premium boards. But you'll want to download this little tool and I'll tell y'all what it's called on my computer somewhere. But if you're gonna do like a cutting board, you sit this down on the bottom, and if your material hits somewhere between those 2 arrows where that check mark is, it's fine. It'll recognize it, it'll figure it out. Now that's just like a foolproof flag. If you're a perfectionist and you really want it to engrave a certain depth and you really want it to do certain things, you need to kind of get your measurement tools out and measure the thickness. So there's like the easy way to do it where you just stick something in there and make like it go, or there's the precise way where you actually do probably need to get your measurement tools and really measure things. That depends on what you're doing.
Like the thickness of your material, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it fits within here, you can almost put something in there that's proof grade like, and I'll show you on the computer what it looks like in just a second, but like, and you can kind of make it go. But if you're doing something with like somebody else's material, like if you have a cutting board that's like, grandpa made this in his shop 50 years ago and you want this engraved on there, then you might want to be a little more precise. It kind of depends on the material that you're doing, where that needs to go. I use this a lot, but then I also use this little tool a lot.
Can you cut all the way through without that thing?
If it meets these requirements, if you get it to that height. So I've got all kinds of little pieces of wood and different things sitting around, because I had some kids build a table, for mine. So I would have lots of room, and so this would be a little bit higher, so I could have to store all kinds of stuff. I have all kinds of things, different thicknesses that I set things on, but it depends on what I'm doing. Like, yeah, I've done like pretty thick pieces of wood, like just engraved on them, like kids wanted a picture of a duck or something engraved on there, works fine. As long as you get it in between this little section, like that's, then you're golden. But anyway, so that's kind of what the inside of it looks like. I just took this little thing off, so I didn't have to mess with it, but I could slide thin material through there. So if you're doing, like, I did a sign, for one of our teachers, her daughter's having a baby, and she wanted her name real big, like, you know, all cursive, kind of like my name sign is over there, and I just had to pass it through there. Not bad. The tutorials are super easy to do this. It's crazy.
So the videos I watched pass through,
Mhm.
it showed it real simple. Is it that simple?
It's pretty easy,
Okay.
because that camera is
Recognizes where it
recognizes
is and aligns everything.
So, you know, like the whole thing with, and even with, just with this camera, like, you know, like you see all those cutting boards that have like all the recipes and stuff on there, like you see that all the time, people printing grandma's recipe on a cutting board, which is awesome. That camera does make it so much easier to do that. As long as you have a clean, good, not folded, bit, grease stained picture of the recipe. But that camera helps, so when you pass things through, as soon as you shut this,
It was, and I didn't know you're signing it. It's okay. It's your computer was asleep.
oh, it is.
I can reconnect it for you.
So, here's the location while she's doing that. Location. I heard y'all, some of y'all heard me say this. Do not put it in your classroom. It is loud. And when it goes, like you think you're gonna print something, like to print these two keychains is 40 minutes. So if you're trying to teach a class or like talk to people, you can't, because with this going and with that going, I'll show you what it sounds like in a second, but it's loud. Like it's kind of obnoxiously loud. I probably wouldn't put it in my shop either, unless you're just guys don't ever stand wood ever. I mean, like if you don't ever do anything like that, and you don't really like get smoke and whatever, you do not want it by your desk, because you will never be able to talk to anybody in front of. Shop is going to get super dirty because it's glass and I mean, you know, if you've got a good spot where you can put it, that's awesome. Mine's in my storage room. It all connects through Wi-Fi. So if this has its own little Wi-Fi thing, I'm going to show you how to do that. So all the directions, but it connects to my computer. So like if I'm working on that computer, I can work on it. If I go to my desktop computer, I can work on it. If I want to go to my phone, I can work on it because it's app.glowforge.com. So it's like you can be working on something on this computer and then like, you know, something happens and you move over to a different one, it all works as long as you're logged into your account. So do not put it there. The other thing is I would find a good sturdy table to sit this on. Brian, y'all carried it in. It's not light. Like there's a lot of bulk to this and it's super light. So you have to think if you have a piece of material sticking out, you want something to sit it on so it doesn't flop. So I have a pretty good sized table. I wish I'd take a picture of it. And this sits all the way to the back of this table I had the kids build, so it's extra wide this way. And so then I can prop it up if I have a board sticking out here. Now, if I've got this, I've got this shoved in here, like it's gonna hit my laser. So I've got to have something to prop this up. So wherever you sit it, you need to think about where to put that. I keep another little piece for something long like this, which I wouldn't, it's upside down, but, it can't prop up, it's gotta stay flat. So whatever you gotta do to keep your material flat, there's a couple of tips that I'll show you, you wanna keep it flat. And I keep just a regular square, like old dusty metal square that, perfect, that I wouldn't probably use to stop for squaring things. But I keep it in here so I can square this whole piece up, just that way I can kind of get it all perfect. The good thing about the camera is you don't have to have it perfectly square because you can move stuff. Like you can move your image around, you can move things. Anything else that y'all can think of before I like turn it on or do anything? Thank you. This thing is fan. I've got full glass out. It's pretty glass, but it's plastic. When I unhooked this today, there was all kinds of dust in there. So, because I've kind of got mine a little ways away, so I kept it this long, I probably should cut it off. But, so that is my screen from the last thing I cut, which was just the other day, just yesterday. So when I'm logged into my app, like it shows what my thing looked like yesterday. Like this is the same screen that was pulled up when I did this yesterday. There's obviously nothing in there, but I'm connected to it right now. Like it's all 100% connected. Like I can do anything, but this is not on yet. Anything else before I move on? Not that y'all know what that. So when I flip it on, it takes a little bit. And it does a whole little generating things that it might do. This thing does get super dirty. Like it does really. Especially that, so this,
Connect that to Wi-Fi.
uh-huh. Should. Oh. No, it's like its own little Wi-Fi like connectivity thing. You see how it's their smart printer? Do what?
How does it talk?
It's got its own little Wi-Fi that goes with whatever this.
Doesn't that have to connect to Wi-Fi to get?
Please talk your drone. You know how to drone.
So there's the printer. There. Anyway. So I'll just skip that for a second. We'll figure this out in a minute. This is what you're going to get. So they just recently updated this. So this is the software that you will log into. So when you're logged in, it looks like this. Okay. Since y'all are getting the cool stuff paid for, sorry, Lori, you have access, which I pay for this out of my budget. So I already have this with my budget like this. But you have all these fancy little things, earrings and wreaths and ornaments and letters and
You all that stuff for commercial?
well, I don't know about that. Probably. Not like because if you pay for the thing, it's like $200 something a year. And I know like if you're wanting to like buy these little house things. Free with Glowforge Premium. That says unlimited prints for $14.99. So I feel like that's free with both for training.
I agree with you.
I think that's what it is.
I'm assuming you can't
Have
download
no-
these files.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
So
Because
you just download everything
Do
the
it
first
one
year and not have to pay for it the
that's
next
what
year.
I've heard from multiple. So I think it's unlimited. Especially once you edit it or do some things with it. I don't know why you couldn't, I mean, I'm not saying that, but I don't know how we share stuff, so.
It's sort of hard to build it.
Like us with our jump drive sharing all of our files for the golf course that, or the plastic cutter that we bought. Yeah,
What I back in.
that's what I was thinking.
And we'll keep our.
But it would pull up, so if I click on these FFA emblems, it would pull up, it's gonna pull up what I last did, so it won't see anything exciting. But, there's those FFA emblems that I cut out over here. The red, just like anything else, the red is the cut, the blue is the engraved. So you can do a lot of cool things, cut and engrave. But this is super easy. You can resize it, you move stuff around. If I wanted to print it in a certain way, I would just move it right here, print it or move it. This is with the Glowforge proof grade stuff. So when I stuck those 2 pieces of acrylic in there, it recognized it did its little magic and said, oh, you have thick, clear acrylic, you're good to go. You have thick, clear acrylic, we're gonna set all the settings to that, you don't have to touch it, and you don't have to touch it, like it is as easy as you can do when you use their materials.
So just save that QR code, stick it in there with
You don't
stuff you
even have
bought
to
from the hardware store.
You really don't even have to do that, up here where it says thick, clear acrylic, you can just find your material, so if you've got like, and there's a bunch more than what's in here, but like I use this medium base wood, whatever plywood, I use that for this, 5mm poplar plywood.
From what you used it for.
Yeah, I mean, and you can save, if you have something that, like a specific material that you wanna use, you can set up your own material and save it. So I just use this one because it works, like it cuts it fine and it looks good and I don't have any problems using their settings on something I bought at Lowe's. That's pretty handy to be able to do that. It has all their materials in there, and their settings. Now, if you want to change something like on this FFA emblem that I have in here, it's set to engrave and the little hole and the outside of the emblem is set to cut. So this is what I was telling you about where I saw those settings come up. Because these FFA emblems, I guess of my million FFA emblems I had saved, I put that in there and it gave me all these options. Normally it doesn't give me deep engrave, deep 3D engrave. It doesn't give me those options normally, but I guess whatever image this was, and the fact that I was using thick acrylic, it actually did 3D engraving. Now the tiny FFA emblem, so you can't see it very well, you have to look at those later. But it gives you those options to do that and it engraves that whole thing. So as it makes its pass, it knows what settings to make it to have it on.
So the image is backwards. Is it engraved on the back or is it engraved?
That's a good question. I did it both ways so you can see what it looks like. If you're doing acrylic that and you have to look at these 2 emblems, one of them is done where I just set the material in there. It looked just like the one on the right. I just set it in there and let it engrave. So that way it engraves on the top. But if I look at it this way, which is the cool way to see it on the flat side, it's backwards. But this one I did it where I flipped the image and y'all do want to look at this thing engraved. It's the flat piece of acrylic here and it's engraved on the back. So if you're doing like trophies, if you're going to engrave something that's like something you want to give to somebody that's like kind of fancy looking, you're going to want to engrave it on the back. So you just, yeah, you just flip the image right here. Like I could have flipped it horizontally, maybe. Yeah, I flipped it. It's like one.
I just didn't know if it was something with the mirrors inside.
Nope, it's just flipping the image.
So is this where you do all the edits?
No, well, I do it, no, because, I'll show you what I've done on Canva. I use Canva just because I like the artsy part of Canva, I like the artsy side of it, just because, and art school pays for Canva for us, so I use it like that. But like this FFA emblem, I just inserted the emblem, like downloaded it, inserted it, hit this little plus button, import artwork. They have all this, there's all kinds of fancy stuff you can search, like if you want to put a heart on there, search heart, there's like 10 of them that come up.
When you said
You could do
download the image, just download
Like a JPEG.
a JPEG. It's
Yeah, you can download a JPEG, an SVG, well, I haven't tried to, yeah, I don't know about that, but now he asked me a minute ago about DXF, so if you have files already on your, plasma cutter, like if you have those files already done, they go right in there. I hadn't tried one yet until you asked me that, and a DXF would trigger him, which is kind of handy for all that stuff that we already, if you already have a whole million files of those things, it will go in there, but you just upload it straight. JPEGs work great. I did learn that when you insert a JPEG, I wish you could really see it. When you insert a JPEG, it's back the way it's supposed to be, it automatically comes up as a draft photo. And this FFA emblem, you can't see it very well, but it's real grainy. Like, so it'll automatically insert a JPEG as just a plain Jane, any image you want to find of anything. It'll put it in as a grainy image. You do have to go over here to engrave, because this will be frustrating the first time you ever do it. And if you hit print, it's gonna take like 3 hours, and you're like 3 hours, because it's literally gonna do every single little grainy dot that's in there. But you just hit engrave, and you can even do draft graphic. Or if you want it really fancy, you do the SD, or if you're doing like a photo for somebody, so like if you just had a piece of that cedar and you wanted to scan in a picture, like just a photograph of some family, it would do that, but I would probably do it as an HD.
And you'll do color picture.
Yep. There's a couple of ways to do that, like it depends on what kind of scanner you have, like this camera will scan that stuff. It'll scan that and it'll show it.
What do you mean?
Like you set the picture in the machine, it'll scan it,
I didn't know about that.
but it will pick up every little thing because your camera is, this far away from your picture, so it will pick up a lot of extra stuff. So that's what I was saying about Grandma's recipe that was out of her cookbook from like forever ago. You're better off to scan it with something else or make a copy of it and then get rid of any little crease or grease stain, or because it will try to print all of that unless you really want to sit somewhere
Is there a
and
way to dumb it down?
design.
Is there a way to dumb it down when you get there? Like just tell it to chill a little bit, maybe not quite so much detail.
This is really your only option. As far as the detail wise as that goes.
So you know what you mean, like do the resolution where it would be so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now so if I click on draft graphic and I do this little arrow, so I have a Glowforge food grade material in there. So it's set to do everything for that material. If I want to edit that though, like I can do that. So you can tweak how fast, like the speed, how it goes. So if you're doing fruit grade stuff, you don't really have to do that. But if you're using materials that you buy somewhere else, you may have to tweak it a little bit. You may have to like make it go slower. In case leather is bad about this, because unless you want to buy their leather, which I know you won't want to, if you you may have to figure out how many passes it's going to take, especially if it's very thick leather. Like it kind of doesn't want to cut through that top layer very good. Like it kind of gets funny like that. You can change it to full power. That's the grayscale image. You can convert it to dots or patterns. That's a way to make it not so perfect. Yeah. You can do that, especially if you're doing something like for a kid that they're just trying to practice. Like you may not want it to be super perfect because you don't want it to take 3 hours to print. I mean, that's the bad part about it. You can minimize the margin, maximize quality. That's another slide bar that you can do. So just know if you are using your materials, you may have to do that anyway. I may have to adjust a bit. This line per inch is the number of passes, same thing. That's something that you kind of have to adjust. If you don't use proofread, use proofread, stick it in there, it'll recognize it, settings are there. Just saying, I've learned that's a good way to go, unless you have some materials that you trust. Like I trust that plywood right there, because it works pretty good. Same way with cutting. Proof grade cut, that's proof grade material. Because I have that in there, it's a big acrylic. I can adjust, same thing with cutting. I can do multiple passes. So this tells me I can, like if I'm cutting that little big circle out, I can do multiple passes. I will tell you, second pass might burn it up. One pass. And you can obviously adjust the speed. Like this thick acrylic, which is that stuff right there that Bruce has in his hand, that cuts pretty slow. This thinner stuff, like this thinner, like super thin, medium basewood hardwood, this cuts super fast. So your cutting speed will increase, but that stuff's pretty thick. Like that material is pretty thick, so it takes it a little bit longer. But if you're doing wood that's not proof grade and you hit it to cut 2 passes, on the second pass, it's gonna start catching on fire. Like there will be some charred edges. I've never done a third pass, but I have done on that material right there. I did, it's plywood, it's got glue in it. There have been times where it didn't cut very well, so I just bumped up the pass. I'm like, well, if you think you cut with 1, I'll just cut it with 2. It's a little charred. It's a little black on the edges. And if you got, because this has masking over the top of it, that stuff starts. That might happen. And certain other materials do, like they get pretty black on the edge. Like it's burning it. So like what you're smelling, like if you do leather, it can smell like burnt skin. What it smells like. Pretty nasty. One reason why you burn on when your classroom either, because it doesn't kind of get kind of nasty. The acrylic smells like this. Proofread acrylic smells like a nail salon. It smells like acrylic. Been a nail salon. However, so we all know what I'm talking about. It smells like true nail salon acrylic. If you buy some of the Amazon acrylic that's the wrong kind, which I can't tell you the name of it. I mean, I don't know. You'll have to look that one up. Even if it says it's for laser engravers, it needs to be the right type because it will melt and smell like burnt, like nasty plastic burning, and it won't cut through it.
There are a lot of.
Actually, they have the community up here. So I'll just show you what this whole thing looks like. So this is like if you've ever used a Cricut, it's like Cricut software. Let me finish this real quick. I'll go to that. So like I put this FFA emblem in there, but it was not ready to cut. All that I inserted was the FFA emblem, and the red thing around it was not there. I wish I could do it here where you could actually see it, but over here, create outline. You can see it up there.
I read what food you were trying to say.
You did?
Yeah, I looked it up. So it's just organic for app.
Okay.
And to turn the machine off and unplug it.
Okay. So I want you to see what it looks like when the camera works. Like that. So turn the machine off and unplug it.
And unplug it.
Okay.
And it says for a minute or 2, and then it says to turn on the machine first, then log into the app and it should collaborate.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
Into your.
What YouTube says, not it. We'll see how reliable it is today.
I'm not gonna wait a minute though. I'm on the first. I didn't leave it off long enough.
It did say, it said a couple. I don't know.
All right, I'll just turn it off while I'm doing this.
It doesn't matter.
All right, so anyway, on your designs, let me go to a better one that I have. I'll just do this. Merry Christmas. If I do this, and I wouldn't do it for this, but I know. Well, I just turned the whole thing off, but I should be able to put this. All right, here's my fish. Okay, here's this fish picture that I put in here, and I engraved it on some kid's piece of wood because he thought it looked good in his room. So there you go. That's what we did. But if I wanted to make this a keychain, like say I wanted to like cut this out next, and all I had was my image. And this is an engraved image, so blue is engraved. There's it's actually over here off the screen. There's a bar over here. I don't know how to make it real. This little thing right here, create outline. This is super handy. I do use this a lot. Create outline. Go ahead and create it, and it will make an outline around my entire image. That probably won't work very good for this fishing image because it's got like the hook. Oh no, it's all right. So it created me a cuttable outline. So that's how I made like these unstable. I just stuck the image in there, created an outline, and then I can adjust how far away that outline is from my image. Pretty handy. Like
That's in this song?
that's it. Yeah, that's in your design thing. That's the stuff that's why you like for paying for it. Like next year, you're gonna want to pay for it because you don't get to do that stuff. If you don't have the premium version of it. Same way with flipping it. You can make puzzle pieces. So if you wanted to take an image or something and you wanted to make a puzzle out of it, like a little kid puzzle, you could totally make a puzzle out of it. It's real easy with this puzzle maker. You can make stamps. If you had somebody that wants to make a stamp, it's not hard. Like it literally just kind of flips the image. You make it out of rubber. Like I don't even know how they do it. Like I've made one yet, but that's pretty interesting to be able to do things like that. The shape version of it is literally those 4 shapes, but it's pretty handy if you're ever needing to like if you're wanting to cut out a plaque and you design it. This is what I did for our county fair stuff. I made a million county fair plaques. And I just did the image in Canva, which I'll show you in a second. And then I just used that square and put a square around it and it cut it out. Like I didn't have to spend time doing that. And I can resize it however I want. Got your little ruler up at the top. So if I want to figure out how big it is, you got your little ruler, so you can pretty much tell exactly how big. I would not want to make a keychain that's 8.5 inches. But if you just hit print, it would do that. Like it would make it that big. You wouldn't want to make something quite that big. But if this were on, it would literally have the material right there. You could just set it wherever you wanted to. If I wanted, I got these yesterday. I had these 2 pieces of acrylic. If I wanted it to print right there, only on that 1 piece of acrylic, just resize it, print it right there. There you go. Like literally hit go. There's no like checking things. There's no nothing. Like you hit go, come over here and press this button and it goes. It does its thing. And then the text is pretty limited. You cannot insert text if you don't have a premium. So that's the one thing you can't do without premium. So you will be able to do that. Obviously, it's just like anything else with text. You're limited to their text. So not what's on your computer. That's why I don't use this text feature very often because I like other text. Sometimes I'll use theirs, but it is not what is on your computer. So it is what is in their system. So for y'all that like to design like fancy things, like if you want to use like stuff, like this, or I did the tech homecoming stuff, I don't do it in their software. Yeah, and so if you did all those fonts that we downloaded for our line cutter, which I use on a regular basis, they don't work on this. But if I put it in a different software, or if you already have something that you designed in InterOut or whatever, I mean, you can start right over. The DXF thing, I'm glad to know that because I have all kinds of stuff on that other.
Dial it on the ground.
You could. You could. So
2-3 years. But, yeah.
I know some of y'all probably use Canva, but most of you may not. This is my favorite. Our school pays for this for us. I use it like outrageous. I mean, I use it every day. Personal and I pay for the teacher version of it, or used to.
It's free.
Now we are. Is it really for the full thing? Oh, well,
You
then
should just go to canvas.com/teach.
we do have it for our students, and everybody has it now. So just to show you what I did for the county fair. We also had our signing day for my girl today that's going to UT Martin. So there we go. So I did these in Canva. Basic design the stuff, like stick whatever font you want in there. Make it look like that, put whatever font you want. So I downloaded this as a JPEG. Like just literally download it, and I'm not gonna try to use Canva, but like I downloaded these as a simple JPEG, nothing fancy, like saved a million pages of these. And then when I inserted that into my Glowforge, I just put a box around it and it cut it out.
Are all your awards on this one file?
On Canva, yes. Well, I don't know how many are actually on here.
What, like?
Yeah.
So how does it print? Just
You can save each image. You can save each page as its own image. So I like named that one or whatever.
Yeah.
And the good thing about doing multiple things like this is I just like for the sheep one, I just took out sheep cattle and put sheep and put a sheep picture in there. Like I didn't do anything fancy. Canva's nice because it has all the fonts. It's got all the fancy things over here that you can insert. But that's exactly what I do. I just decided on here real quick, make it look like I want it to look. Download a JPEG, stick it back in my Glowforge software, and literally drew a box around it. Not drew a box. Did this insert shape and hit a square. That's it. Like all this is it could be to do things like this. Like if you can use those two things now. The other software I have to use, and I wish I had that other one, but to make these letters join together, to weld these together. So if you ever have used a Cricut, you got to weld all those letters together. There's not a good way to do that unless you have a program that will weld stuff together. Like our school bought Adobe Illustrator. So InterOut will work the same way. Our school has Adobe Illustrator, so I have a couple of kids that use it, so it's super easy to do it like that. Weld these things together, because otherwise it will not cut in one continuous path like that. It won't cut.
I'll take it.
So, thick of material, quarter inch is probably about, whatever this is, it's about as thick as it'll go. So quarter inch of that. Oh, this is what you didn't even know. Your cuttable area, so it looks like there's a lot of room inside there. Your cuttable area is only 11 inches by like 19, or not even 19. So when my intern last year, before she left, I was gonna cut her a cool cutting board, and she was getting married, and we were doing this cool little thing, and bought this cutting board at Hobby Lobby, and it was like great, and it fit in there, and everything's fine. But then the image that we wanted to print on there did not fit, so we didn't realize that it would. It's literally 11 inches is all you have. But that pass-through thing, the pass-through thing is helpful. Now your material can be 19 1/4 wide. So these that I get at Lowe's, because I mean I have an SUV and I have a school truck yet, so we're waiting like everybody else. I have Lowe's cut these into 19 1/4 inch sheets. Like I just have them cut them into 5 sheets, and that way I have this already ready. I can put this in my book or my whatever that. These fruit grade things come with a layer of masking over the top and over the bottom. It comes with the mask already on there. You're gonna want to mask stuff like this stuff right here. That's why it's got all this masking tape on it. If you don't, it will burn the edges where you can't get them off. So if you're doing a fancy cutting board for somebody, or you're doing a that you want, this is a pretty good one to show you. If you're doing like this one, this is masked. All these burnt edges will show up on that wood or on the acrylic or whatever you're doing. It will look burnt because it's burning it. I learned that this piece of leather here is that way. I made these before state convention last year. It's got the FFA motto all over them, and this one was not masked at all, and it's burnt edges. There's times that's what you're looking for, that's what you're getting. But if not, you are going to see all these burnt edges all over it. So you can get them off. Like if you do a cutting board or something, you can take like a toothbrush and like soapy water, and it'll scrub off. But you also lose some of your black engraving. So it depends on what you want it to look like. That's what I did with these. Like I used, I didn't mask these, so I used a toothbrush and and it scrubbed all the black away from it. And it'll scrub it all off. That's how you want it to look.
This button be sealed, it says when the button has to be sealed. Is that what it's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to hold it.
What's in the basket?
This is just cheap masking tape. Like the cheapest I could find that would come off, and I had some kids that did the job. These are all my county fair ones. So like the county fair board bought this material. I didn't buy this. It's cheap. And they bought the masking tape. So I actually did their heads. Hey guys, good job. And they did it for about 4 days because they did every single piece I had, even the ones I didn't need. They did it all, which is fine. Because now I can use them. So I just masked the side of it. I didn't mask the back side of these, but if you don't want the black to be on the back, it depends on what you want it to look like. The acrylic is the same way. Like this is one that was printed on the back side. So it's printed back here and flat up here. On the Glowforge community, there are these little things that you can print yourself on your draft board, and there's actually measurements on here, and you just can put popsicle sticks in there. I use these sometimes. Like if you're doing a cutting board, you can set it to the height. Yeah. So these are pretty handy to have. There's 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4, and then it's all written on there. So when it gets close, it'll get within your check mark of that. There's also these little things that I've probably broken all of them. I don't think I have a single one in here. There's these little pins. They look like.
And I don't have to go back, and if not, then I give up. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're awesome. That's great.
It did without connected, and they.
Oh, hang on. hang on, that's just the internet.
Okay. Well, we have to go back to connect with the AF.
Oh, cause my computer's not, I gotta connect my computer back to
Yes, that one.
AFY. Then it should be fine.
The glow forge had
It does. And it's gonna give you that in step by step. She probably just forgot.
I didn't think about it, cause I knew it was just connected to wherever, I mean, like,
It
if
looks
I,
like it's connected now. It was real easy to do. I'll try and, it's gonna be in your startup guide, but if you can't find it, email Lori or me and I'll send that.
yeah, when I set mine up, it was easy, like, it didn't take any time.
The only thing I had to find was the button, and it had to be still, and now it's still, so it's. No, okay. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, I can't.
Yeah.
It's so easy, though. Let me go back to,
If
So-
you're just cutting that thin plywood, they go pretty fast.
it's not bad. The acrylic, the thick acrylic takes long. Anything that you
Gray
engrave,
is cut.
to cut, not bad. Engrave, depends on how detailed your image is. And you have to think, if it is this way in your Glowforge, so if you're cutting something and on your screen it's long this way, it's not so bad because your Glowforge moves back and forth like this. So it just cuts like this. If you flip your image up like this, as long as you, like, it'll just sit there and take forever. So it does matter kind of how you have your image on there. If you got 2 hours ready to sit in the storage room and let it go, it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to do something pretty quick, this is not something, like, you can see all the YouTube videos of all the housewives that are making money with all this stuff, and y'all don't want to even use this stuff because you're going to sit at school forever to change out another piece of material. Like, if you're going to make a whole thing, it's not big enough to make like a bunch of cool stuff. You know, like, I mean, we can't make money with it anyway. You would literally be your ag building all night long, letting it print one thing for 2 hours and then coming back and print another thing. Like, you know, it's just not feasible to do a whole bunch of stuff. It took me forever to print those stupid county fair flags. Like, forever. Cardboard. Any extra pieces of good flat cardboard you have, keep them. Because this is good to put things in, like these watch bands. If I wanted to engrave on these watch bands, I just take them off, I sit it on there, and there's videos for this, so whatever. The camera will pick up how big it is, pick up your watch band and cut it out of a piece of cardboard. You can set your watch bands in there and you can engrave however you want. This little thing, I'll make for pencils. Set pencils in there and you can name, like, you can engrave pencils all day long. Like teachers, every teacher in our school got a pack on the rubber pencils. Cool.
You have to do a bit of vision.
No, you can do the whole thing, but you got to put all those on here. And this, like this one I downloaded from Glowforge, like from the community. I downloaded it from somebody that, what's the website we use to get all the access from? Plasma Spider. So it's similar to that. The message board is similar to that. But you can save any good flat piece of cardboard. It's good to make little jigs out of. So I did golf balls. By the way, it's not a good idea to do golf balls unless you just want them to look cool, because they don't really apparently work with the slide of the ball. But they look really cool. So if you're wanting to engrave, like, I did ball markers and golf balls, like cheap golf balls they found on range. Yeah, apparently it's a big deal with golfers. But if you want your golf ball with your name on it and you're at the actual
Put it on the wall.
summer conference, I don't think I actually golf ball. I don't think you make it. So catalog up here, that's where all their fancy designs that everybody pays for, that's where they're all at. So all these, I mean, y'all, there's dumb stuff, like there's things you would never cut, but there's some pretty useful things on here too. It kind of depends on how artsy a kid is, if they just want to get on here and, you know, I want to print that. You download it, it goes right in, you literally hit go, push this button, done. Like, it's about as foolproof it can be. I use the community all the time. This is the message board. This is things that people make, tips and tricks, free laser designs. Like that's where that pencil thing came from. Like I use that all the time because there's all kinds of things on there. The bottom one, the beyond the manual, that's where you find the good stuff. And it does say if you do those things, it might void your warranty. So I would do it for next year, probably. But that's where at least if I have something that I can't figure out why something's not cutting right, usually on the beyond the manual, I can find some things about that. Especially if you have material that you're not really sure about what to do with it. Or if you want to buy acrylic, not from Glowforge, and you want to go out and really seek out the right kind of acrylic to buy, it's on there. But it does say some things like that. There's all kinds of cool stuff on here.
Have you tried to draw something on your
Yes.
Does that work good?
Yep, it works. So it works as good as your drawing is. If there is any little piece of dust or a smudge, that's one of those recipes. And you know, Jason Murray, when Becca and I were first talking about this forever ago, we were at Teacher In Service the year we had it outside. And we were really wanting one of these. And Jason Murray was talking about how he had all kinds of people. Once he did 1 or 2 cutting boards of those recipes, that he was having everybody was wanting to come, you know, to Green County Tech and get a recipe board done. And they were like, oh, great. Except when you bring in, I mean, any smudge it picks up. But you got to have some type of software to edit that stuff out, which InRoute would probably do. Actually, as easy as we like it probably do. So, Photoshop works good. Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator works really good. Every little thing shows up if you get that though. Any drawing. Sharpies work for that. Something that's Sharpie. As deep as you. Oh no, we got this working. I don't know what else to show you.
Does anybody have any questions that, I mean, I wish we could see it work in operation, but obviously we can't. But do you have any other questions for Casey before? We are going to have to go over to the warehouse to load. And so if you don't have any questions, we'll just go ahead and do that. And again, when y'all get this home and you get on the community and you set up your account, I think you have support too, like you all have technical support. And so if you have questions, you can ask them too. I think they do online chat.
Yeah, they're handy.
Yeah,
when mine died, like they were as good as they could be and super fast to get back to you. Like there's not.
And the company has been wonderful for me to work with. I mean, like Katie's our rep, and like they're very quick to get it, you know, answer your questions, and so it should be pretty easy for you. Just got to play with it, once you get it set up. Casey, is there anything you want to tell them about the setup? Is it pretty easy on the filter?
It seems like it's been easy so far. I mean, I use it pretty often. Like I don't use it probably daily, but close. I use it pretty often for little things.
Now, the tubing that you have there, that did not come with it.
Yeah.
It did? Okay.
It came with
I
it.
didn't.
Yeah, it came with.
It's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it came with it. The tray came in a different package. I think that. Be super careful about where you put it though. Like you need to think about what table you're going to put it on because you don't want to have to move it around. And it needs to be where it will pass through. And you got to be able, because everything has to be flat inside here. There are these little, they're actually on these little honeycomb pin. That little honeycomb pin right here. That's another thing you're going to want to download and print a bunch of those out. Those actually go in between these little sections on this, and you can pull stuff down with that. Really strong magnets work really good too. You got some good little just button magnets that you can hold some material down, I don't have a way to do that. But those little honeycomb pins, print them out of the draft board, they break pretty often. It's the only bad thing, because you gotta shove them down in there. You really want your material to lay flat. That's the bad thing, is you want your material to be flat. So like when I do leather, I have to really hold it down so it stays completely flat. That's when I have problems cutting it.
Get it later.
Probably. You probably want to. That's all that's on this. Oh, this no math focus rule. That's what this thing's called. Or that little check mark thing is. No math focus. Little check mark, little thing I held up. That's what it's called. No math focus rule. Right here. I probably should just send you all those files. I'm not gonna but those two things are my two favorites. This emblem, the black and white emblem downloaded from National FFA, print flawlessly. That's what I did the big one with. Apparently that's it worked. I used the colored one for that. Probably that. I did these on, those are from Etsy. You can spend a whole lot of money buying stuff from Etsy real fast. Somebody that has pre-made stuff. Again, you can spend a lot of money doing that, but I did those on a little cutting board from Hobby Lobby. Like, it was like 60% off, and it was like this big, and I think those cost like $1 a piece or something like that. For that, I mean, it wasn't like I spent a lot of money on something like that. This little flower thing, I don't know if you could even see it on here. It's what I did for Mackenzie's board. Yeah, you came those flowers, and it was too big for the cutting surface. It was too big for the 11 by whatever cutting thing.
You can see it back there.
Oh yeah, you can see it on that screen really good. Those flowers like that, like we did those on the top and the bottom, and then her name in the middle of it. Did mark like a wood. Let me show you one more thing before we stop. And even though I'm not connected, it should let me. It should let me show you how to do this. So when you get your design, you're all ready to go, like you're ready to print. Like you're like, all right, go. Like we're ready to do this. This won't be offline. It'll have all your stuff here, and you do hit the print there. So when it prints, it's gonna like do all this like computery thing, and it's gonna kind of think. When it gets done doing that, before you walk over and hit this button, make sure that everything's still lined up. Sometimes your camera kind of gets kind of funny, especially if it's dirty. You haven't cleaned it very often. If it's dirty, like sometimes it'll cue it off. Hit cancel, hit print again, and it'll be fine. It just, the camera kind of has to like think about things. I don't know, it kind of has to align itself pretty often. But when you hit print and it tells you a thing, it'll give you how long the cut it's going to take. So it'll tell you 3 minutes, 40 minutes, 3 hours, whatever. This will be flashing when it's ready. All you gotta do is hit it. There it goes. If you need to stop it, you actually can, like if it's like, oh no, that's not right, you can stop it real fast with that. Like your stop button. And then this little 3 dots, this is the last thing really. If you need to refresh, like if you put a new piece of material in there, you like need to move it, or you've got a piece out here and you want to kind of move it, refresh bed image, super helpful, because it will just take a new picture of it. Like it'll just reset everything. Or set focus. Like if you're wanting to cut something and it's like over here, you can move your cursor over to that and hit set focus, and it'll like focus in on that little area. Like your camera will kind of do, I don't have the computer terms with all that stuff, but it'll kind of focus in on that little area. So it's really helpful if you're trying to do little things. Yeah, it's almost like the camera, like it like zooms in and zooms back out, and it like will show that it won't show that necessarily area, but it'll like refocus your whole thing. Sometimes the camera just gets out of focus a little bit, especially if you're moving material back and forth. That focus itself. Especially for lenses 30. That's the key. And it does, I think I said this to a couple of you guys, it comes with these little cam locks, use those. Buy you a pack of them off of wherever, Amazon, and the packet that they're in there, and that's, I mean, that's what our science people use to clean their lenses in the industry lab. They keep them in there, the exact same ones that they recommend on the camera. Little alcohol wipe looking, or not alcohol, but you can see all kinds of fun stuff on there. That export design, that might be how I did a lot of it. I think that's somewhere else. If you want to. This is that pass through. If you want to use that, you just literally like stick.
So when you do, after you move it the first time, the camera just picks up on the last part that it cut, kind of lines everything up.
Yeah, that's why you do have to click this, because if you don't, it won't know that you're wanting to do that. It just thinks that you're doing whatever's in the little area that it says. So I don't keep Pro Pass Pro on because I don't use it unless I'm doing something that's like something that's long. But you can do it as long as you want to because it'll come right out the back. So again, if you want to do that, think about where you put it. Probably not up against the wall would not be my best spot if you're wanting to pass this stuff. Location's a big deal, like where you're gonna put it. So what do you do? There you go. I don't think so. I literally had to get a build table for it last year, because I didn't have anything really that it would even work on. And I wanted some storage underneath it, because I mean, it's a big heavy piece of something to sit there. So I had to build shelves underneath it, so I could store materials. And I've got every color of acrylic and glow. The proof grade stuff does go on sale super often. So, and you get 20% off for being the premium member anyway. You automatically get 20% off when you check out. And they have really good sales. Like I got a ton of stuff. It just came in not long ago for like everything was half price. So that's when I would order. I would not order at full price. I would wait till so then it was way cheaper. It's 40% off plus my extra 20. It's cheap. It was a lot cheaper. So that probably would make stuff cheaper than on price. If you use it when they go on. So you just need to have a PO for the credit card ready or whatever, however you order stuff. Or not. They do not, which is super frustrating. They will do credit card. Or PayPal or however that works. So